Hello YouTube, this is William. Back in 2019, I think it was, we had an ice storm come through Texas that taught us a few lessons. I'm losing my earbud here. And now it appears that we have a good chance of another storm coming through. Potential ice and snow. It could be worse than 2019. So if 2019 taught us anything, then we need to do some preps. And so what I am doing is I am sitting here doing a list. And I thought maybe I would share some of the things that I'm doing just to make sure that everything is in place. Now, a lot of these things I've done, I've kept it up in case there was a surprise, if you will. But this is not a surprise. This is something that I've been keeping an eye on, and I'm just want to make sure that everything that I have in place is still there, is still operational. I want to check all my emergency equipment out and make sure that we're ready, because I have to do some things for mom and dad, as well as the shop and the house and things like that, as well as personal items. And so I thought maybe that it would be a good idea just to let you guys know what I'm thinking about. And perhaps it will cover something that you haven't thought of that will help you in your situation, because this is going to be, from what I've been hearing, this is going to be a massive Arctic blast, and it is going to put most of the United States in a deep freeze. And so, we need to be prepared for that. We need to be prepared for the worst, pray for the best. Anyway, so today, that is what I'm doing, is I'm double checking everything, because it's not supposed to hit my area in kind of central East Texas, down around Lufkin area, kind of in between Tyler and Houston, about halfway between Tyler and Houston. And anyway, we got a few days to prepare for this, but it's one of those things that we have to do. So to protect our neighbors, check on your neighbors, check on anybody that may be needing some help, okay? Because this could potentially be life-threatening, okay? All right, so going through my list, just some highlights I hit. Power, if we get a 1/4 inch of ice or greater, then trees are going to start coming down. Power lines are going to fall. We have overhead power lines out where I am. So electricity is going to be out. That means heat, that means lights, that means freezers, that means refrigerators, food. I don't want food to spoil, things like that. So I'm checking to make sure I've got candles available. I've got lanterns. I've got plenty of gas for those lanterns. Everything, the mantles and everything is in working order, so that if I need those, then I've got those on hand. Flashlights, make sure they're all charged, got fresh batteries, whatever the case may be. The fridge and the freezers, I've got solar battery packs. I've got gas generators. I've got all of these things. And especially during a freeze, you don't have to keep these things running continuously. Depending on where your refrigerator is and your freezer, you may be able to get away with just turning them on once every other day or so to get them refrosted up or refrozen. And don't get into them any more than you have to, okay? But anyway, just something to keep in mind, that you need to have some way of running those at least an hour every other day. So anyway, for the generators, we're going to start them up. I've got a couple of 3 generators. I got one for mom and dad's place next door. I've got one for the house. I got one for the shop. in addition to all the solar generators that I have. And let me touch on solar generators. The Mega, the 3,000 watt generator, solar generators, and all these huge ones, in my experience, those are great until they go down. Once they go down, it takes so much to charge them back up that they're really not very useful. I found that the smaller battery packs is actually more useful in my situation than the larger ones. So I've got the 1,000 watt Jackeries. I've got the EcoFlow. I tell you what, I have been just blown away by the Delta 2 and the Delta 3 and the EcoFlows. I've got the Blue Eddies, I got the Jackeries, but that EcoFlow, I think it's a better unit. But anyway, whatever works for you, whatever's in your price range, then it's always good to have those things. And if you don't have them now for this one, perhaps you can keep notes and lessons learned in this one to get those things for the next one, because it seems that these things are coming around a little bit more often. I know when I was a kid, we never experienced these things in my area about every 10 years, 12 years, something like that. But it seems like they're coming around every 5 years now. So, you know, it's one of those things that it's best to prepare it and hope you don't need it. But if you need it and you don't have it, then it could be life-threatening. Dad has a breathing machine and things like that we have to have battery power to run those things. So, depending on your medical situation, it could be a life-threatening or a life necessity. So anyway, so make sure that the gas, I got plenty of gas for the generators, and it's not old gas. We want to make sure that it's fresh gas, that it's something that we can use in those generators, and start them up and make sure they're running properly and got plenty of oil and things like that, just to maintain those generators. Heat, we're fortunate. We've got wood heaters. I got one in the shop. In the house, the backup is propane. I got a full large tank of propane with a propane heater for the house as a backup to the central heat. Make sure that you have all your propane bottles topped off. Make sure that you have plenty of wood, not in the wood shed, but next to the house. I need to get some wood in for Mom and Dad so that they have plenty of wood just in case. And so that they can heat their house. Okay. So, the other thing is water pipes. Our homes are not built like the northern homes. A lot of times we have water pipes that's really close to the surface of the ground, and they tend to freeze a little bit more often than some of the northern homes. The walls are not as insulated as they are up north sometimes, so we have a serious threat of breaking pipes. So make sure that all of our pipes are properly wrapped and heat wrapped, or whatever we're using to keep those pipes thermoregulated. So I've got to wrap some outdoor pipes for Mom and Dad. Mine are pretty much done. I just place insulated covers over the faucets, outdoor faucets around the shop and the house, my house. Mom and Dad's, I have to wrap those in blankets and stuff. We also have water catchment systems that I need to make sure that those we got blankets on those so that they don't break and lose all of our water catch systems for rain water and things like that for the gardens and all that. So, it's just things that you think about. So basically anything that's water, you want to make sure that is protected so you don't have pipes bursting and losing precious water. And not counting the pain it takes to replace those pipes, because, in a crisis like this, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't prepare, and so they're rushing trying to get materials after the thaw, and of course they deplete all of the stores. So trying to get plywood and water pipe and all this other stuff it's probably going to be a chore after all this is over with. So, you know, it's best to prepare for this now. Make sure the pipes are protected, and keep your water running a little bit during the freeze. I mean, it doesn't have to be full blast, but at least that you got a small stream or a steady drip, something like that. It depends on how cold it is, but make sure that certainly helps. Since one thing is, if you have an electric water heater, make sure your water heater is drained, so that especially if it's out in the garage, or places where, you know, it can get cold and freeze that tank. Just little preps like that. You could lose water because a lot of places, especially in towns, the water is serviced to your house through electrical pumps. So you might want to catch some water if you don't have stored water somewhere to where it won't freeze. You want, bathtubs are a good place for that. At least so you can dump it into your toilet, keep your toilet running, and things like that. You want to take care of those hygiene issues. Cooking water, coffee water. You need some water for coffee. Things like that. Pull out the camping gear. Go through the camping gear, because you may be camping in your living room. A microclimate, setting up a tent in the living room, will actually conserve heat. If you have a family of 3 or 4, there's a lot of heat in those bodies there. So, just think about those things, because, during a major ice storm like what they're saying is coming, you could be without power for a couple, 3 weeks. I mean, that's not unheard of. So, just prepare for that. Think about this so that your family is not in a crisis, but it is a manageable discomfort. Okay, so again, make sure your propane bottles are topped off. If you have propane heat or cooking, or however your alternate method is for cooking and preparing meals, make sure that you have enough of that gas or wood or whatever you're using on hand to last those 1 to 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. The clothing, make sure your clothing and all your winter stuff is out of storage, out of mothball. I've got to go through, I've bought insulated coveralls since the last time, so I got to get those out. I hate wearing them because I'm not used to it, so it feels like the Michelin Man. I just can't move. But we get the base layers out. I've got base layers. I've got the merino wool base layers. I've got insulated coveralls now, boggins, neck scarves, neck gaiters, just everything, gloves, all of that stuff is readily available, and you're not trying to scramble and get to it after the storm hits. Okay, so I hope this gets you to thinking about it. Like in the last kit video, which was a preparedness video, it wasn't about hobbies or anything like that. There was one individual that was confused that I was talking about hobby kits. I don't do hobbies. I'm not a hobbyist. This preparedness is the thing that interests me. Protection of my family, protection of myself, protection of friends, getting things that is going to help you in a crisis. Because it just seems like these crises are happening faster and more often than they were, say, 10 years ago. So our mindset needs to change accordingly. For instance, whoever blew up a Tesla in front of a hotel on the main street, it happened already 2 days ago. All right. There's rumors and stuff on social medias and things like that there was many other things that was going on that has not been reported. Now, I wasn't there, so I can't tell you if that's a fact or not. But I do know that there was a reporting of an incident in New Orleans. It was a shooting in New York. There was a Tesla that had a bomb in the back of it in Las Vegas. Those are 3 incidents since the first of the year, folks. So, you know, it's time for us to think differently, sit down and consider our own personal needs and all of the things that could happen in our area. Ice storms, snowstorms, Arctic blast, fires, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, volcanoes. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. Just all kinds of things that is happening worldwide, and it's getting closer to home, it seems. So sit down with a piece of paper, look at all of your preps of what you've done so far, what do you need to do to add to those preps, and it's better to have a little bit than to have nothing. At least if you have a little bit, then it gives you a space to plan. If you don't have anything, you're in a crisis mode the minute a disaster or a crisis comes up. And if you're if you're behind the 8 ball, then panic sets in, and nobody thinks clearly in a panic situation. So a little bit helps you get at least a breather to plan for the next week or the next month or whatever it is. So a little bit on hand is better than nothing. And it is always better to have something and not need it in a crisis than to be in a crisis and not have anything. Okay? So get what you can afford. All right? Get what you can afford. And, you know, one of those things is, you know, how much is your life? How much is your loved one's lives worth? And that's how I look at it, because, you know, I'd hate to think that I got inadequate equipment and I needed it and it cost a loved one or it cost somebody's life. Don't skimp on preps, people, because, again, this thing that is happening now, it appears that it's accelerating. It's speeding up. I hope that we don't sit back and think because of the last election that things are settled now. It's even getting, it appears to be getting worse. So I think that there's going to be some things that's happening over the next several weeks, months, that is going to, I'm getting a drink of water here. Over the next several months that is going to try us. So let's get prepared for that. All right. Hope this helps. And until the next one, get in the backyard, wheel on a stick. Be sure to take a child with you, get the opportunity. And don't forget to plenty of Band-Aids, lots of knives. We'll catch you again very soon. Bye.